I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. We're coming up to the Twin Cities. I'll be working on that today. Thank you for the sparkly hearts. And I'm going to be talking about why mail, and I'm going to be pulling together 4 talks. One that I keynoted for the USPS a couple of times. I think it's going to be one of the most challenging talks that you've heard this year. So if you're in the Twin Cities area on the 7th, make sure to get your ticket because it's limited seating. And if you're not in the Twin Cities, I think it'd be worth a flight. It's going to be better than most conferences you attend. Just think, a free keynote. And we can have a beer afterwards. We'll have a contest for who came from the farthest away. Okay? So, if you're from New York or you're from San Francisco, take a minute. Come to Minneapolis in November 7th. You'll be snowed in, which will be exciting and adventuresome. And if you haven't seen snow in a long time, it'll be something to tell your grandkids about. I hope Scott Adams comes. I'll send him a personal invitation. He abandoned northern New York State because he almost froze to death. It's in his biography. It's really good. How to fail at almost everything and still succeed. Anyway, Scott talked today about moving back as he gets more old and wrinkly, but I'm moving forward. Scott, that sounded like loser think to me. I have to send you this intro. Anyway, we better get to the news because there's a lot of news today. Not that it's any of it's consequential because it's marketing news. So if you love marketing news, send more of those sparkly hearts. I have no idea what they mean. Or comment. I'm actually watching them today. I don't know why. Probably purient interest. That's interested in things you have no business being interested in, I think. You can look it up. Check it out. Okay, so let's go over to the, oops, no wonder I can't figure this out. I got to change windows. There we go. Okay, so the U.S. nuclear arsenal is no longer required to use floppy disks. And there was a picture, but they were talking about, they're not talking about, I don't think I have any around. I used to have, drawers of them. They're not talking about the little hard drive disks. I got them here. They're not talking about CDs. They're not even talking about these buggers. Here, I got drawers of these buggers. Okay. This is what you all think of as a floppy disk, but guess what? It's not floppy at all. It's hard. You can throw it around. It's not going to get hurt. I have no idea. Some software diskette. But anyway, that's not, they're talking about 8-inch floppy disks. I have no examples. So they're about this big. This one was actually designed to fit in your shirt pocket, so you could smuggle it out of the arsenal quicker. They're talking about 8-inch floppies, the big ones. I don't know if you remember. Most of you probably don't because, I got started in the 80s with my first personal computer that I really had as a personal computer was a TRS-80, and it had no hard drive. It just used those big floppy drives. And I did my master's thesis on it. And man, oh man, those things haven't been around for decades, 30 years or something. It talks specifically in here about the 8-inch floppy. Here, storing out on 8-inch floppies. Apparently, they think that this is, besides being unconnected to the internet, I know we don't have an 8-inch floppy drive in our shop. We never had a tape drive. We never had one of these. But, just because it's old doesn't mean it doesn't work. Although we had this problem. We have a bunch of 16-bit apps that are statistical apps that run perfectly well. And as computers have gotten faster and faster and faster, they're lightning fast. And their statistics still work. And I've looked. I keep looking for a better one, but I haven't found it. And it's a little like working on an old car. You can open the hood and find the engine. I literally looked. I opened the hood on my LS Lexus, and I couldn't find the battery. It's got all these covers all the way around the engine, and it's beautiful. Looks like there's no engine in it, and I couldn't find the battery. I went online to find the battery, and it's there, but it's not obvious. And so So we had a fire here a couple of years ago. A fan, just a regular house fan that we used because the heating system wasn't the greatest, and the computers get warm, and it melted down and lit on fire. And because of that, we got rid of all our old computer hardware, and we're able to get blade servers. And so now we're smoking fast, even though we're using old stuff. And I recommend that to the Department of Defense. And it says that lots of other departments, including Social Security and all kinds of others, um, are using the same thing. So that's funny. Now, on that note, we'll go over to the trends for 2020 from Gartner. And the only reason I'm reading this is because you'll recognize the buzzwords. This is the place you get the buzzwords. We're starting in the end of October, and it's a good time to start hyper automation. Good. The combination of multiple machine learning software and automation tools to deliver work. I was telling somebody, they were asking me about what I thought about AI and such, and I said, I was trying to tell Google or Waze. Waze pops up. Waze is a navigation software. It pops up carpooling, offers to join carpools, and it seems to love to do it when I'm out of town, when I'm in Minneapolis or when I'm in Boston. But yesterday it was popping up, and I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. I carpool. I mean, my commute is over a hill. I used to bicycle it. There's nobody who would want to carpool with me because I'm not going anywhere that they'd want to go, and I'm not going any distance. And yet, Waze, no matter how many times I say no, I don't want it, they don't care. So automate that. Automate listening to your customers. Multi-experience. Experience isn't enough. We have to have multi-experience. Conversational platforms change the way people interact with the digital world. Yeah, instead of throwing the phone against the wall. We know everybody's getting spied on, but nobody's listening. Boy, I can tell you that. Democratization of expertise. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Providing people with access to technical expertise via simplified experience without costly training. When we started in computer development, we thought we could give, if you can automate it, you can give a MiG 27 to a 5-year-old and say, hey, fly this, you'll enjoy it. It doesn't work that way. The more power you give someone, the more screwed up it can be. And so there's just a trade-off between simplify and power. And most of the apps I work with on Google stuff, they have forgotten the switch that I need to turn off whatever it is, like the carpooling. Human augmentation. Technology be used to deliver really most of this stuff is programming you to feel like an idiot because they changed the software, and what it used to do yesterday, it doesn't do today, or they added in the carpooling, which it never had before, and you can't get rid of it. Autonomous things, robots, drones, autonomous vehicles, shit, yeah. I'll get in an autonomous vehicle when you can fix Google so that it doesn't show me the sports scores when my team loses. I mean, I tell them, these are the teams I'm interested in news about. No, don't show me the highlights when they lose. That's the dumbest thing on earth. Okay, so all of that stuff is stupid beyond words. Okay, Gartner, give me a call. Stupid. Not because it doesn't work, but because you're all committed to this philosophical position that the computer's going to know something better than what I want. Okay, here's another one. This is there's so many bad articles. I have to sift through the bad articles just to find the worst of them. 83% believe that customer loyalty increases if marketers reward. Okay, so if somebody comes in your store and you give them a $5 bill every time they come, or, I remember when, like, glassware in a gas station. I think we still have some of those bowls that we got, a big salad bowl and matching little bowls from the mobile station. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, customers will do that, and you know what? You get used to it. You reduce margin. This is the number one best way to go out of business if you reward, and that's the reason people stay. And this report, which I'm not going to download, says customers don't feel adequately rewarded. Yeah, okay, but you know what? If I get there and my luggage does too, get over it. And understanding the traveler's journey. Yeah, okay, not going to download that. 64% have a go-to travel company. You know why that is? Because I live in Milwaukee, and no one flies to anywhere. So I go to O'Hare, and United is the main airplane company, the airline that flies out of O'Hare. So I fly O'Hare. I fly United out of O'Hare. I get the most direct flights. Is that because I like United? No, I don't like United. Not really at all. I got some gripes with United that go back years. Okay, so enough of that. Enough harping. A/B testing. This is great. I needed a Halloween one, and I can't use it next week. So this kid says, I'm A/B testing to see what gets the most candy, which illustrates some of the difficulties in testing, which Tom raised, which I think is great. Tom is one of my very favorites, and I mostly had pirate costumes and ghost costumes because sheets, there are always some old sheets laying around, and my dad made me actually a curved sword and painted blood on it when I was a kid. What does that do to you? Here I am. Anyway, what are the challenges? Well, one is creative testing is a challenge because you got to change the creative, okay? And how do you make sure the test is valid, right? You need, and here's the trouble right here at this house, okay? Yeah, this house is giving away Snickers, little mini Snickers, which I love, okay? The next house is giving away M&Ms, which has a higher valuation. Don't know, right? This kid can only A/B test every other house, okay? And he's not going to get a statistically valid sample. He can't hold the time frame constant. Maybe the best candy maybe the best houses with the best candy get run out, right? Or maybe there's, I used to go to Waukesha because we didn't have enough subdivisions in Heartland, and you could go door to door, and the next house was just right there. Whereas in Heartland, you'd have to walk down these long. Nobody comes to our house because we have a quarter-mile dark, spooky driveway. That's where you should come. See what happens to you. See if you ever turn up again. But so you've got all kinds of challenges with A/B testing, and this cartoon illustrates them. Maybe later in the night, the candy diminishes. Maybe some streets, maybe the quality of the neighborhood diminishes. It's not entirely clear to me what the connection between geodemographics and candy distribution are, right? Do richer households have better candy? Or do they think you're better off? We used to get apples and stuff. Ugh, who wants an apple for Halloween? And then somebody put a razor blade in an apple, and then with our kids, we had to cut them all to pieces because my wife was from Chicago, and that's the way she believed. But anyway, so compared to my earliest jobs in the late 90s, which was, that's when I was still teaching on testing. See, here's the thing about testing. Testing, you want to ignore the trivial and you want to ignore the obvious. Okay, so Tom explains, and you got to find the middle. And you got to find the strategic. It's an art. It really is. It's an art. And I don't think most marketers really understand that anymore. So right now we've got the time cycles have disappeared. We get instant learning on any attribute we care to test on with any aspect of marketing. No, you don't. You get clicks. You can set it up. It's tricky though. It's a lot trickier than people think. The testing mindset has the potential of taking out some of the guesswork of marketing, but I went around and surveyed direct marketers, and they didn't even test enough. They said that. This explosion in what we can test can lead to its own kind of paralysis. Google couldn't decide between two blues in a design, so they famously tested 41 shades between each blue to see which performed better. See, this is testing the trivial. The difference between two blues is probably insignificant on its own. And What are they doing? They're testing clicks. They're not testing sales because they don't sell that much on Google. This data-driven experiment led Google's visual design leader, Douglas Bowman, to quit, period. And he wrote a letter. Data eventually becomes a crutch for every decision, paralyzing the company and preventing it from making any daring design decisions. I did a speech, like a keynote, for a couple of years called Drowning in Data, and one of the points that we made was there's never enough data to make a decision. Why? Because data is all historical. People talk about real-time data. It's a lie. It's all historical. And conditions change. They can change minute by minute. They can change contextually. Competitors can change. All kinds of things can change. Attention can change. So there's always an epistemological leap between historical data, because it's all historical, and the future. There's never enough data to predict the future. Sorry, you can't, or else it's a trivial idea. Here's a test where I think they were making it up. Let's see. One of my favorite brands is an irreverent clothing company. They embodied an always be testing mindset, symbolized by the word beta in their name, Beta Brand. Yet they were also making constant daring design decisions. Beta Brand once parodied the absurd length that can be taken. By running tests, they actually ran these tests. See, I wasn't sure. On beard length and the style on click-through rates. Again, not buying, but clicking. It's a big difference. Read my article on how direct marketing swung the 2016 election. And this guy won. I don't know if I've got, I guess I do. I think this is I guess I can circle stuff with this. Okay, so, and then there's a couple of great cartoons at the end. Too scary, too silly, too different, too dark. Not our brand voice. Switches are polarizing. Might alienate dog owners. Fine, we give up. Right? And I shouldn't have dressed up as a brand, as a banner ad. They ignored me at 99.94% of the houses. That would take 1,000 houses. Not quite. Take about 300 to get 1/3%. So you got candy at 1 out of 300 or something. Did you hear something? No, nobody did. Okay, and one more. I didn't get this one, so let's go back. Okay, now I'm going to turn off right now because I'm going to feature Tom in my whatever I leave up on the screen, it remembers. So nice of you to join me. Thanks for the super hearts. Like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. Do some testing. Get an old direct marketer to help you.